Jai Janindra everyone. On this auspicious occasion of DasLakshan Mahaparva, today is Uttam Sanyam Dharma. In this entire series till now, we have covered introduction to DasLakshan Parv, where we have learned about the introduction, basic introduction to DasLakshan Mahaparv. Why do we celebrate this Parv? What are the 10 virtues? Are there 10 virtues? Are there 10 dharma? Or are there 10 lakshan? All these questions have been answered in the initial lectures. Also, we have learned the absence of four kashaya, krodh, man, maya, lobh, lead to uttam shama, mardav, arja, shauch. Also, we have learned about satya dharma, and today is sayam dharma. When it comes to sayam dharma, यूजुअली वी हियर दैट ये संयम के पर्व है, हमें संयम से रहना है. व्हाट इज द ट्रू मीनिंग ऑफ संयम एंड व्हाई दिस धर्म, दिस वर्च्यू इज नेम्ड एज उत्तम संयम धर्म? All these questions we will get answered today. So very happy to have Somil Bhaiya again today. He is also a part of JEEV faculty team and he has also taken lectures before in JEEV portal. So today we have invited him specially for this lecture to throw some light on this virtue, which is Uttam Sanyam Dharma. Over to you, Bhaiya. You can start your discourse.
Thank you, Arshil ji. Jai Janindra, everyone. Let us start with a small Mangalacharan. Namo Arihantanam, Namo Siddhanam, Namo Ayariyanam, Namo Uvajayanam, Namo Loe Savvasahunam, Mangalam Bhagavan Viro, Mangalam Gautamo Gani, Mangalam Kunda Kundaryo, Jaina Dharmostu Mangalam. Jai Jindra, dear seekers. As Harshil Bhai just mentioned to us that today is the auspicious day of Uttam Sanyam Dharma. Today is also another Parva which is called Dhoop Dashmi Parva. On this pious day, many people celebrate Dhoop Dashmi Vrat and they do several pujas, about 10 puja and they constantly do upvas for 10 years. It's a very auspicious day. And today we will learn about the importance of Sanyam on this auspicious day. Sanyam or self-restraint. If we see the world around us, everyone is trying to expand their possessions or their belongings. Everyone wants a bigger home, they want a bigger car, they want bigger salary or bigger business. They want to expand their families, they want to expand friend circles. In general, the human being has a tendency to broaden, to expand. Right from our childhood, when we take birth, we come in without any possession, right? We come in with just bare hands and body as our parigraha, body as our possession. But when somebody is on a deathbed, more often than not, they are talking about their will, they are talking about their succession, what kind of inheritance they want to leave their family or near and dear ones. In reality, nobody actually carries anything with them. So throughout the life, we live under the false belief that we have gathered various possessions successfully. But in reality, we come in as we go. We come barehanded, we go barehanded, right? So the real essence of life is not in spreading or expanding. The real essence of life is actually in contracting and assimilating within. So the self-restraint or sanyam, what sanyam teaches us is that one shouldn't be looking at broadening ourselves, but sanyam means sanyamit hona. It means to restrict ourselves, to contract from the world. And where do we want to go? Is we want to go within. There is a very nice uh, stanza written by Shri Kartikeya Swami in Kartikeyanupreksha. This is Gatha number 399. Let me recite from here. It talks about Uttam Sanyam Dharma. As you know, all of these Uttam Dharmas are predominantly celebrated for Muniraj, but we should also apply it on ourselves as it is applicable to us. So Gatha 399 says, Jeev Raksha me sada, Rat rahe gamana gaman me, तृण मात्र छेदन नहीं करे जो उसे संयम धर्म है. What it says is that Muniraj is always involved in Jeev Raksha, and he doesn't he is always very careful while moving. Trun matra chedan nahi kare. Trun means it is a speck of grass. So Muniraj doesn't break even the speck of grass, and that is called Uttam Sanyam. Pujya Gurudev Shri also highlights this point very much in his pravachan, uh, that the first key question is, are we able to even break a speck of grass into two pieces? Is Jeev capable of even breaking a speck of grass? Means, is Jeev capable of doing any single thing of another substance? And this goes back to the definition of Uttam. Uttam means Uttam is along with Samyak Darshan. Samyak Darshan means along with self-belief. First of all, one needs to understand, who am I? A soul, a jeev. A jeev is another substance which is separate from the worldly substances. And all of the other substances in the world are separate entities, and one substance cannot do anything of another substance in this universe. So if I am Jeev, and all of the other substances, including this body, the clothes, any of my possessions, etc., are other substances, then first of all, I need to develop a belief that I am not able to do anything of any other substance in this world. And that is called Uttam. Now, if I'm not able to do anything of any other substance in this universe, then what is the point of delving myself, my immense knowledge that I have, into these other substances which are not mine and I'm not able to alter them anyway? Might as well contract from there and think about what is mine or what is me, which is my own soul. That reverting back from the worldly substances, your knowledge coming back from the worldly substance back within yourself, that is called Uttam Sanyam Dharma. Let me quickly share the slides, and we can take a look at some of the points from the slides. See, as we spoke, Uttam Sanyam or supreme self-restraint or supreme austerity. It is a trait of Sri Muniraj, who has Charitra as his main dharma, and there are 10 different signs of these Charitra Rup Dharma, and one of them is Uttam Sanyam Dharma. So while Muniraj has this as one of the sign, even in humans, even in households, we should also have a certain level of Uttam Sanyam, as which is relevant to our Vitrakta Bhumika. So, as it says in the quote underneath, when my active conscious turns inwards and immerses in self, when my active conscience, which was away in the worldly substances before, when it turns inwards and immerses in my own self, that is the true austerity. That is the true sanyam. So when Uttam Sanyam actually begins when one first realizes that I am a soul and I'm not able to do anything of any other substance in this world. So the first step of Sanyam is your belief system, and bringing that confidence within oneself that this is me, I am a complete substance in myself. And if I am able to engross within myself, then the true happiness is going to arise right from here. So that is the true austerity, an effortless restraint that blossoms from within. When one is engrossed within, the effortless restraint will blossom from within and not from external world. You know, and supreme self-restraint or Uttam Sanyam begins when one actually experiences one's own soul and uh, uh, and restrains his own his knowledge from getting engrossed in the worldly substances, but getting engrossed within himself. That is the ultimate Uttam Sanyam or ultimate self restraint. Isn't it beautiful? I mean, imagine that in our worldly life, we seek happiness in every small things outside. That small things could be, small food bites, or it can be some small fragrances, or some treat to your eye, such as you watching some colors, vibrant colors, or rain, or mountains, waterfall, etc. Um, or hearing some nice music. And we believe that all of these external inputs are making me happy. And it is such a big mistake that majority of the JEEV, not only humans but JEEV, are going through, that this most fundamental mistake leads them to a constant birth and death cycles. They are constantly unhappy because they just don't know the most fundamental thing, that the true happiness is not outside, the true happiness is within. So as we saw by this definition, there are two things. One is restricting yourself from the external world, so external restraint, and restricting yourself within, or internal restraint. Let's dive deeper into that in the next slide. So let us look at some of the key points of this supreme self-restraint. So the real supreme self-restraint is for Muniraj, as we spoke about earlier, who is constantly engrossed in his self. He has no other possessions anyway. The key question is, when we talk about Muniraj, Muniraj has anyway given up all of his possessions. What does he have to get engrossed externally? He doesn't have any other possessions. So for him, the key, the main attribute of Sanyam is when he is engrossed in his self meditation and he is constantly enjoying his inner bliss. That's when he doesn't even feel the need to know other substances out in the world, or he doesn't even feel the inkling that there is some happiness out there and I should take a look, or I should see. That even that interest is not there. And that is actually the Uttam Sanyam or supreme self-restraint to ascetics. That is the ultimate self-restraint to ascetics, which is a fruit of him getting rid of three type of kashai chokadi. When he's gotten rid of three kashai chokadi, he has uh, a, a superior happiness and bliss. But if households who doesn't have who hasn't gotten rid of those three quadruples, at least households could have gotten rid of two quadruplets or one quadruplet depending on their stature, and accordingly they can still feel the inner happiness or bliss as per their passionlessness. And for the households, even that much amount of disconnect from those external worldly substances trying to get within is a self-restraint. So there are the path of this austerity or self-restraint moves from inside, not outside in, because you cannot really disconnect, and then go inside. It is when you get engrossed and you feel the bliss, you're automatically disconnected from outside. So the path of self-restraint or Uttam Sanyam is inside out. So you get engrossed and then you get disconnected from everything. So that is the main definition. Now there are two type of Uttam Sanyam or supreme self-restraint. And now we are talking about external self-restraint. There are two types. One is called Prani Sanyam or restraint on violence. And second is Indriya Sanyam, which is restraint on subject of sense and mind. Any person who is trying to get engrossed within, whether it is the ascetic or household, uh, when they are not able to stay within, and if their thoughts come out, there are two places where they could get uh, uh, um, distracted. And these two places could be uh, restraint on violence and restraint on sense and mind. Prani Sanyam is because there are six different type of sense beings in the world. There are five type of one sense beings: Prithvi, Jal, Agni, Vayu, and Vanaspati. And there are two sensed, three sensed, four sensed, and within five sense there are two types. One is with man and without man, Sangni and Asangni. So in total, there are five type of Ekendriya and Tras. So total six type of living beings. These living beings are everywhere in this universe, across around us. So anytime an ascetic or an household not able to stay within, they may come outside. There are possibilities that unintentionally there is some hinsa or some kind of killing of any of these that can occur. If the ascetic or the household has intentionally gotten his thoughts engrossed in that, then hinsa is something that causes him destruction of his Uttam Sanyam or destruction of his self-austerity. So this is called Prani Sanyam, having an ability to control control oneself, that there is no intentional killing of any of these six different life forms. That is called Prani Sanyam. On the other side, the second one is called Indriya Sanyam. Anytime when an ascetic or a household who's not able to stay within, and if they come out due to their some indulgence in sensory objects, like they get some smell, they get some hearing of music or sense of touch, etc. If they get engrossed on those five senses, which is touch, taste, smell, sight, and hearing, if they get engrossed in any of these five, then that will also lead to destruction of their supreme self-restraint. So an ability of ascetic or the households to restrict oneself from getting indulgence into any of these five senses, so that they avoid getting engrossed in those external substances and stays true to oneself, and always looking to get engrossed within again. That is called Indriya Sanyam or restraint on senses and mind. So there are five senses and one man. Man is a substance that gives us thought process. So six type of living beings, five ekendriya and one tras, and six type of indriya, पांच indriya and ek man. So in total, there are 12 of these. Any ascetic or a householder who is able to stay within and control his supreme self restraint wants to avoid getting into these 12 things so that they don't destroy their valuable supreme self restraint. Let's also compare these in a few points. So if when one talks about prani sanyam, it involves avoiding both harmful intent and physical violence. Harmful intent, even though the other insect or life doesn't die, but the intent leads to destruction of inner peace, and that's where it leads to destruction of self-restraint. Second point, the true non-violence cannot emerge as long as there is negligence and passion. There are uh, uh, two reasons that Pandit Todarmalji cites in Mokshmaya Prakashak, that a violence occurs because of pramad or because of kashai. When somebody is not able to stay engrossed or stay alert, and has a negligence towards oneself, there is a possibility he might get uh, attracted to something else, and that could lead to some violence. Second, if a soul is not able to stay engrossed within, whenever he would be outside looking at any other substances, it is imperative that he might have some passions, because of which there might be some violence of other living beings or even violence of himself. So, to practice supreme self restraint, one must avoid negligence and passion. On the other side, Indriya Sanyam. If we see that the sensory pleasure cannot be avoided if there are internal desires that are always there. So, as we started this discussion, the first and foremost thing which is important for somebody to practice supreme self restraint is that they need to have strong belief that the true happiness is within. If somebody is still seeking true happiness from outside somewhere, and they are obviously bound to have some kind of desire to achieve that happiness from there, and that will lead to some desires which will lead to uh, the sensory pleasure, or attempt to find sensory pleasure from there. Second point, overcoming passions and desires is essential before practicing external austerities. While one still has passions and desires in their own soul, that will always lead to going towards external substances, and that external substance will always cause some unhappiness, because the true happiness is not going to come from there. So one has to first have this true belief that the true happiness is within oneself, and then only they can practice this supreme self austerity. Third point, real austerity is seeker's jewel, valuable to theft by sensory desires. One must guard it and remain engrossed in self. It is very rightly said that true happiness is actually that inner jewel there are which all the substances out there are inadvertently trying to steal that jewel, or in a way get you engrossed towards themselves, and that is a very easy way to lose your happiness. So the real self restraint is practiced when either a monk or a householder is able to practice Prani Sanyam and Indriya Sanyam and preserve his own inner jewel or inner happiness. So with that, we today discussed about what is Sanyam or what is self-restraint, what is the inner peace from where the supreme self-restraint emerges, and what are those external substances such as uh, Indriya Sanyam and Prani Sanyam, which leads to destruction of this supreme self-restraint. If we are able to uh, uh, stay true to oneself and try to always stay engrossed within oneself, the true happiness always arises from within. And that true happiness one cannot find elsewhere in the external substances. That's why it is very important for monks or householders who are seeking to practice supreme self restraint to always stay within themselves and avoid any of these external attractions, because we don't find happiness from there. With that, I will hand it back to you, Harshil Bhaiya.
Thank you so much, Somil Bhaiya, for this beautiful explanation to Uttam Sanyam Dharma. As before the lecture we discussed, we call it Sanyam ke Parv. And whenever we call it that ये तो मुनियों को होते हैं. So at that point of time, our parents used to teach कि संयम की practice करो, at least at these 10 days. And obviously in your entire journey of life, maybe you are grahast, maybe you are brahmachari, or maybe in any other form of maybe of a muni. So this Sanyam, to know the meaning of this word is very important. And Bhaiya has already talked about the different aspects, different types, and how this can be followed. So that's all for Uttam Sanyam Dharma. And if anybody from the audience is interested or has any query related to this topic or around this topic, feel free to comment on this video your query, or you can also email us on the portal website mentioned. We will help you connecting with our expert Somil Bhaiya, and you can have one-on-one conversation on this topic as well. And yeah, that's all for today. Bhaiya, we can proceed with Jinwani Stuti now.
Thank you. I want to give one last message to all the listeners and all the seekers. Uh, this 10 days of DasLakshan Parva are very pious days. These are days not of celebration. Usually, our Jain religious days or Jain Parva, they are not celebrous occasions. They are always occasions to practice self restraint and really reflect within. In our normal day-to-day life, we are always busy and our routine continues. But these 10 days, please take a special moment, reflect, and reflect where you are going, where our life is going, where is the true happiness that you're going to find, and are we actually doing enough to achieve that true happiness? So, in these 10 days, when we reflect, please practice a little restraint to yourself, not only today as Uttam Sanyam, but all of the 10 days. And with that, I hope that these DasLakshan Parva is a life-changing event in your life. Let us complete our today's class with a small Jinwani Stuti. निज निधि निज में बताई यह अनंत उपकार है, इसके लिए जिन वाणी माँ को वंदना शत बार है, वंदना शत बार है। बोलिए द्वादशांग जिनवाणी माता की
Jai.
जय हो।
9 times Namo.